One of the most frequent questions I get asked, whether it's a DM, whether on the comments, is about the consumption on the Sealion 7. And the best part is everybody has their versions of it. And I go on Facebook, they were saying, oh, it's more than what I expected it to be. And when I kind of post that I get about 15.5 kilowatt hours for every 100 kilometers, people say, oh, that's inaccurate. So there's a lot of confusion around this. So today, I want to kind of, give that a go and really test it for a fact. And given that we have a couple of modes as well, we have obviously Eco, Standard, and also Sport mode, I hope to kind of, try all three and see if there's actually even any difference. In case we haven't met, my name is Charles, and I actually run this channel to kind of help owners of the Sealion 7 maximize the capability of their Sealion 7, and also some of these tips and also findings that I find throughout my journey may also apply to all BYD models. So how am I going to be testing it today? So I've actually set a route between my house and also IKEA, and it's probably a round trip of about 30 kilometers. And before I start, I will, stop the car and start it, and I'll capture the summary that is usually displayed as you turn off the car. And hopefully that is accurate, because from what I can gather from all forums and everybody's talking about this, that is the most accurate reading, and everybody claims that the reading on the UI is not accurate. Yeah, hopefully we can do a bit of comparison and see if we actually land where we thought we were going to be. So with that, let's get started. So before we begin, I will be kind of noting down the state of charge, which at the moment is 89%. I've set the trip meter to back to 0. And we are going Eco mode first on Standard Regen, as you can see on the top right hand corner. And I'll update you guys in a while. So just a side note on Eco mode, I know there is a lot of people that kind of made comments about how when they accelerate and when they floor the accelerator, as they lift their foot off the accelerator, the car seems to accelerate a little bit more. Like, for example, maybe half a second or 1 second more. I have yet to kind of experience a whole lot of that. I reckon it's more in the sports mode and the standard mode. I actually tried accelerating full gas just for a split second earlier on the Eco mode, and I didn't feel what they call the off-pedal acceleration. So yeah, I'll keep a note on that on the next modes I'm going to test. So I'm actually back where I started, and I've clocked about 29.1 kilometers. So before I power down the car to get the reading, it says mileage 29.2. I've consumed 4.3 kilowatt hours and a driving time of about exactly 30 minutes. So Eco mode is supposed to be the most power efficient. We'll yet to see. We have 2 more tests to run. But just a bit of a characteristic of the Eco mode. Like I mentioned earlier, when you kind of step on floor the pedal, it actually takes a little bit more gradual approach. If I remember vaguely, with standard and even sport, the moment you hit the pedals, it just goes, right? So Eco mode allows you to kind of gradually deliver the power, so you have a smoother acceleration. And I think the bulk of the power saving is in that aspect, I would like to think. Again, we'll see what happens at the end of the test. I've actually kept the speed between 85 and 90 kilometers an hour. Of course, the occasional slightly above 90 to kind of overtake. But otherwise, I've also used ACC as much as possible. So now, I am going to go change it into normal mode and give it a go again. And I'll see you guys in a bit. So I'm just turning back around, heading home already after the loop at IKEA. And I also once again tested the acceleration on a normal mode just to see if the claim about the off-pedal acceleration is there. Happy to say there's nothing there. It accelerated as it should. When I stepped on it, it went, and when I stopped, it stopped accelerating. So yeah. Hope to test it again for the sport mode and see how we go. So we just completed the second run. Just looking at the trip meter, it's showing 28.9. Seems to be recording about 200 plus meters less. I guess close enough. When the time comes, we'll do the calculation and then we'll see where we land. So it says we have done 30 minutes as well. Electricity use 4.5 kilowatt hours and mileage 29. So like I said, it's about 200 meters off. Based on what I vaguely remember, again, I'll need to go look at the video again. It's used a little bit more power compared to the eco mode. I think probably 0.2. So yeah, I guess we are on the right track. It's supposed to use more power, I reckon. So with that, let's get ready for the final run and then we will wrap it up. Before I head out for my next run, just want to make sure that you guys know there's a 5% discount code if you want to get some accessories for your BYD. Doesn't matter if it's Sealion 7 or Atto or Seal. So yeah, check out the description in the link and yeah, use the code. So if you're ever wondering, what's the use case to kind of turn on sport mode, my answer to you is there is no reason why you shouldn't be using sport mode. I mean, of course, on a good day, I typically just use normal or eco, depending. Sport mode can be a little bit jerky if you kind of love accelerating. But boy, when I drive alone, I oftentimes turn on sport mode because it's just so much more fun to drive. The car just goes at every instant. It handles much more fluidly, if you like. Anyhow, I actually tried flooring the car, pretty much like how the other two modes were. If I'm being honest, there is a very slight off pedal acceleration. So the moment I lift it off, the car travels a little bit more. But when I say a little bit, it's really just very little, in the sense that probably a couple of split seconds. To the extent where people say, hey, it feels so dangerous and etc. I don't really think so. Of course, I mean, if you're the type that kind of accelerates and you're 5 meters away from the car in front, then maybe it's a bit dangerous. But by and large, it is not something you cannot anticipate and cannot control, right? Definitely slightly different from an ICE car, I would say. But nothing like, whoa, out of this world. I wouldn't even remotely call it that. So yeah, that's my viewpoint on off accelerator acceleration. So hopefully we close this conversation once and for all. I don't actually know how many times I've actually received this comment. Like I said, I've actually experienced it only in the past as well in sport mode, where it's ever so slight, right? All right, final leg done. I've done the sport mode and I'm back to the starting point. Just looking at the trip meter, it's actually about 29, 28, 29. Closer to the standard mode. So I reckon this is probably the right one, given it's 2 out of 3. It's showing 30 minutes travel, 29 kilometers. And electricity use, interestingly enough, it's also 4.5 kilowatt hour. So it's exactly the same as the standard mode. So given that the standard and also sport is exactly the same, kind of make me think that perhaps the difference in mode is really minor. One thing obviously for sure is the acceleration in different modes. In sports mode, it's very snappy acceleration wise. Standard is not bad. I mean, it's much faster than eco mode, but eco mode is just sluggish, right? It's just like slow acceleration, and that's pretty much it. And this even applies to ACC. So when I trigger on ACC, as and when it drops below a certain speed and it ramps it up again, with sport mode, it ramps up really quickly, and with eco mode, it's just slowly kind of creeps up. So I think other than acceleration and maybe a bit of handling difference, by and large, from a consumption perspective, I think they're all largely similar. Yeah, I did a little bit of math. I'll put it nicely in a table so you guys can see this as well. So basically, let's recap this. In eco mode, we use about 4.3 kilowatt for 29.2. And if I did the math, it comes to about 14.7 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers. And for standard and sport, we consume 4.5 and 29 kilometers. If I divide it accordingly, it comes to about 15.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So again, I know I'm not too sure what you guys think. I've actually said this before, that my consumption is about 15.5. right? Everybody's gone like, oh, it's inaccurate. I'm getting 20, I'm getting 22. So leave me a comment if the way I'm measuring it is, to your point, is not very accurate, but it's as accurate as can be from my viewpoint. And I've actually made this point previously as well. How you consume or how the consumption of the car is very highly dependent on many variables, from the way we drive, the road we drive, the choice of tires, and even if it rains or if it's dry, right? So when it rains, I'm not too sure if you guys know, if it rains, there's a lot more resistance on the road, the rolling resistance higher, hence consumption goes up. So there's just so many variables. So by and large, if you ask me personally, we are really kind of splitting hairs. Truthfully, if you look at the numbers that we kind of done here, it's 14.7 with 15.5. We're looking at about 2% difference between modes. It isn't a whole lot in the scale of things, really. Again, happy to hear kind of your thoughts on this. Do leave me a comment as to how best I can test this. But hopefully this has been useful for you guys. And as always, thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one.